Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I know I just had a video reacting to your comments, but this is technically still that. However, it's a bit different. Last comments video did get out of hand and we were discussing specific things. This video I want to dedicate to something that apparently only my side of YouTube waves the flag for in a resounding way. There are endless people that genuinely believe that Super Saiyan Rage is well thought out, that is very good, cool, all these other things. And today we are going to discuss why I personally don't believe that to be the case. And ultimately, one, if you guys can convince me differently, this isn't just a straight up debate, it kind of is, but I'm genuinely going to list in this video, I'm literally going to explain to you guys why I don't like the form. Then after I explain how and why I don't like the form, this is going to be you guys' chance to either hop in Discord, chat it up, shout out to the viewers, comment away even though it won't really do anything for the sake of this video, but please comment away. Just the long-term goal in terms of the second part of this video is for you guys to somehow convince me that it is good, not necessarily to quote and debate me. At this point, we are just going to disagree, but I need to see the pros, and I'll even list what those pros are when I'm talking about why I don't like it, but I need to see the pros in the form. Because I literally, not even on some like, I'm Mr. Dragon Ball and might take his law thing, but it's more so on like, I don't understand how like Dragon Ball fans like this form. After that, then we'll go and see what I would necessarily change if I'm a hypocrite, if I'm not good or anything like that. Hey, I don't think the form should exist. Mild spoiler, but that's besides the point. I'm actually very glad someone thinks that I just have a random hate boner for it. Because I don't. To start this all off, my knowledge was that nobody likes it. You know, when I saw Trunks use the Spirit Bomb, I thought we were all like, oh, what the hell is going on? Let's start off with the video. Maybe I worded this video poorly. Maybe that's what all of this is stemmed from, and I don't need to be recording this. In defense of Super Saiyan Rage, it didn't need to exist. However, my interpretation of it was that Super Saiyan Rage is what happens when a Saiyan tries to surpass Super Saiyan 2 through anger rather than training. The idea that emotions make exclusive forms is already sketchy as f, but even if they had to, even if I'm wrong and Broly has his really angry form and Vegeta has his really prideful form and Goku has his really instinctual form, a rage form shouldn't fucking exist, because one, if it did, it'd go to Gohan. Two, it would have been happened probably to Gohan, but three, and most importantly, it wouldn't scale less than Super Saiyan 3. So in this video, I'll even cut the people some slack, and I'm not going at my editor when I say this. I'll even cut you guys some slack. It's not clear, and in the longer video, it is more clear, but people still disagree in that comment section as well, so fair enough. In this video, in this rant, I'm referring to, and it's very much implied in the full conversation, I'm referring to at the point in the series where Rage is. So the people that do inevitably comment Beast, while I do think they are being a bit obtuse in terms of like, yo, why didn't this go to Gohan earlier, or it would have went to Gohan? When you comment Beast, it's kind of like you're being a little obtuse, because it's like, you know, I was talking about during the Black Arc and everything prior to it, but it is not made the clearest. I will concede right now that that argument specifically is not made the clearest. Everything else though, yeah, I'm pretty 10 toes to what I said. And as you'll see when we scroll here, people are theorizing what they believe about the form to be. Some people think it's just a step above Super Saiyan 2, but not quite God, or Super Saiyan 3 for that matter, and we'll talk about that later on. Some people think that, well, it is justified because Super Saiyan is there. Some people think that I don't make ethical sense, which is crazy ethics, and oh my god, the video isn't fucking evil, but Super Saiyan Rage is an animalistic form to a guy that hasn't had a lot of training. And before you think I'm putting words into his mouth, yes, his whole point then stems on to be that like Gohan had training, that Goku had training, Vegeta keeps a level head, and that Trunks is essentially like some novice Saiyan. Then again, more people think that the Rage form goes to OG Super Saiyan, or that all the forms are actually emotional forms. It's like, it's several things. One dude even said the forms represent martial arts, which is giving super insane levels of credit. All of this, one dude even gaslit me to thinking that I like how Rose was handled, and I never even said anything about that. Several things. One of me showing that part isn't necessarily to reel you into the whole video, but to show you that I'm not making shit up. That people are debating in a very positive way that, yo, Super Saiyan Rage not only makes sense, not only do I like the form, but you're just wrong in your assessment of the form. So, speaking of my assessment of the form, here's why I don't like Super Saiyan Rage. First point, the most inconsistent form. I'd even say the most inconsistent form in Dragon Ball history. Either way, my main gripe with it is that it's a very inconsistent form, and in my personal opinion, the most inconsistent form. How is it possibly inconsistent? To me, I believe that if you were going to have Trunks sit there and rage boost to a level that is, I guess, rivaling godhood, it has to be, because how else would he combat Black and Zamasu at the same time, at least to a competitive level? You have to tell me that one of the following happened. Trunks, who's never trained in God Ki at all, the most significant, closest training he's had to that is either a straight beatdown from Vegeta, or two, training with the Supreme Kai, that he has any level of God Ki in him. Mind you, in his training with Vegeta, he admits he can't sense the Ki, as everyone without God Ki can't sense the Ki. They can feel the pressure of it, but they can't sense the Ki. You would have to convince me that Super Saiyan 3 is a Goku exclusive, which you would have to convince me that no other form was awakened via rage in Dragon Ball history, which again is just not true. There's so many inconsistencies with the form, to the point where someone brings up the manga in my chat, it's not even in the manga, so that's another red flag for it. How do y'all think this even just logically happens? Logically speaking, if Trunks were to sit there and get a rage boost, he would either A, transform into Super Saiyan 3, or B, just get stronger. And people don't like hearing that. I'm gonna say, why didn't he just get stronger or unlock Super Saiyan 3? I'll write that down as one of the points just so you guys visually see it. I don't understand how he gets an exclusive transformation. It makes sense for Gohan, even with Beast. One of the things you could argue is, yeah, at least Gohan clearly surpassed beyond Super Saiyan 2. So it isn't like something that just makes zero sense. When Trunks unlocks this exclusive form, there's a form objectively stronger than it. You want to go even a step further, for some reason, the dude unlocks a spirit bomb. Now, you guys have always bombarded me with the idea that Trunks' Super Saiyan Rage form, one of the popular things is that he was around Vegeta and he was around Goku, and he accidentally, on purpose, absorbed the God Ki. That doesn't necessarily really make sense, because again, he can't sense it directly, and on top of that, he's looking at himself like, what is going on? And even further than that, someone would state that. You would think if Trunks has God Ki, Vegeta or Goku would be like, huh. Case in point, when Vegeta unveils Blue for the first time, Goku wakes up and he's like, what's going on? And this is a common thing in the series. Anytime Vegeta or Goku activate Blue, the other one is like across the planet sometimes, and they're like, oh shit. So it's just weird that they do that consistently for each other, knowing that they have God Ki, knowing that they have Super Saiyan Blue, but if Trunks were to unlock said form, nobody, not Beerus, not Whis, not Goku, if I had to use my headcanon, how about it being some Genki form, right? But nobody even presents that. Y'all are just convinced this God Ki. And mind you, speaking of the Genki form, why can he use the Spirit Bomb? There's a lot of things I'm anticipating we're going to debate. Any person that comes up here and rationally knows as to why Trunks has a Spirit Bomb, good luck. I'm not going to lie. Like that, this is going to be the biggest good luck for debate possible. It's so crazy, especially when you guys come to me and you argue he's a novice, which I actually, and it would make my argument worse, I actually disagree with that argument. Trunks being a novice is the most casual shit you could possibly say. The idea that Trunks, who even in his regular timeline trained with Vegeta, or in his future timeline, he grew up training with future Gohan. He grew up training with him. Then he goes back in time, has a ton of fights, trains with himself for a year in the time chamber, or Vegeta, but that's kind of boost. Speaking of Vegeta, he ends up training with Vegeta. Then he ends up training with the Supreme Kai, and you think he's a novice? That's crazy. crazy to me. Some of you guys think of it as he's just really, really mad, Sage, just an ooga booga form. It's so wild. Some guy argued that Super Saiyan, it doesn't matter about any level of base power. You don't have to have any level of strength. Hey, if you're just really, really mad, you get the form. I guess Goten and Trunks should never have the form. And then I also guess that Kid Gohan just wasn't mad enough when he thought Frieza killed Krillin, or wasn't mad enough when he saw Piccolo die. There is zero legitimate explanation. This is all headcanon. And maybe that's why you love it. All headcanon. Even in this comment section. The comment section I'm referring to. What I've noticed, and then even in these other comment sections, whether I'm watching a video about God Key sucks and I'll prove it. And in a comment section like Geekdom, if you guys respect his opinion, or Rhyme Style, if you respect his opinion, is that everyone has their own theory, their own explanation. Nobody has an answer. People that get paid to study Dragon Ball don't have an answer. Now we're at the point of the video where I beg you to explain to me why you like the form. I like the idea of the form just because Super Saiyan 3 was obtained unnaturally. So Super Saiyan 3 being the natural version, I think is cool. Wait, so is your argument that this is the natural version of Super Saiyan 3? Or the unnatural version? And then I guess I have an issue with believing that because Super Saiyan 3 doesn't have an unnatural way. Goku just trained extremely hard. The only argument is if you think it's unnatural because he's dead, so the stamina drain isn't as bad, but I would just argue it would just take him longer to unlock the form versus it being unnatural. I'm trying to see it, but I just don't. I'm not gonna lie. Abram, I'm with you on this. Man, I was a huge fan of Trunks, but they did him nasty and super range, and that ends the saga. Well, he agrees with me. I'm not gonna just die on that. It literally is just raw. I don't care about anything else but looking cool in the fight Trunks used in it. Nobody could change my mind either. I can respect this. I think the only reason why people like the form is because it gave Trunks something, considering everything keeps getting taken away from them. With that said, I think that this makes zero sense. Now, what really made no sense was Trunks pulling a spirit bomb out of his... I don't think even when I start inviting people up to Discord that nobody's going to argue that the spirit bomb makes sense. The form is supposed to be a transformation that comes from Trunks' wrathful rage against the crimes that Zamasu and Goku Black committed against humanity, in which shows how much power he had grown from the training over the 10 years in his timeline with the Z-Sword, and had very much put a massive increase to his power and potential through wielding it. So essentially, this is supposed to be a wrathful rage form while also unlocking his potential. And this info is heavily stated and implied throughout the manga chapter 16 and in the video game of DBZ Kakarot. To be honest, this is literally one of the best viewpoints I could come up with on the subject matter of this very underclarified form, and why I still think it's not as bad as many think, at least in my opinion. If you still disagree, that's okay. We can always agree to disagree, but I want to state this info out there to others who may be curious about this form's supposed purpose. So that doesn't move me at all because nobody's arguing where the form comes from. I have to just accept that Super Saiyan Rage comes from Rage. My question is, why does it exist? I'm not arguing if it truly comes from Rage or not, but I guess what I'm saying is, why didn't people do it in the past, and why does it exist now with Trunks specifically? Even in what you said here, the idea that Trunks has some potential is cool and all. Are you saying that, I know you're not necessarily saying it, but I guess the issue is, yeah, if Trunks has some new levels of potential, that's fine. But one, it's never stated that he has the potential of a Frieza, of a Gohan, or a Gohan. But two, you would think a Gohan would unlock the form. At any point in time, he would just unlock the form. Unless the argument would be that Gohan, when he uses his untapped potential form versus Super Saiyan form, he's just so schematically dodging it that it unlocks Beast. I like what you did, but I can't jump on board with this. It's not as useless as, it's not useless like people think. And be serious, it's not like Trunks had any real training. Everyone is dead. It's not true. This is another person that believes this Trunks is a novice stuff. I don't know how you come up with this. Trunks in peacetime is said to be training with the Kai. He trains with future Gohan. He trains in the time chamber. Unironically, he trains more in his teenage and adult years than Gohan does in his teenage and adult years. So the idea that Trunks is just this frame one novice is so crazy. He's not a novice, bro. You could argue Trunks is naive. Case in point, Super Saiyan Grade 3. Fantastic point. He thought just simply getting stronger meant that he was stronger, but he didn't factor for his speed. 100%. You could argue he's naive, but the idea of him being a novice fighter is ridiculous. Everyone in this comments gulping. This form sucks narrative-wise. It serves no purpose to the crash guy. And this is another thing. And I'm gonna put this in the notes too. I'm glad he said that. Convince me this wasn't for money. I'm not gonna lie, bro. You're gonna have to convince me that this wasn't made to sell toys. You're gonna have to explain to me that Beast couldn't be arguably for toys. I think it was. You're gonna have to argue me that Rose could have been, and I think it was, for toys. A lot of these forms are made from toys, and y'all keep going, gotcha. I don't like these forms either. There's certain forms that I do definitely think are well thought out, or just very good, or even cool enough to like, it's bullshit, but I like it. But even then, I'll admit, it's bullshit, but I like it. Case in point, Rose. Rose is kind of bullshit, but I like it. However, there's more explanation with Rose than Rage. At least with Rose, he is a god. So the idea that he could tap into God Key and have his own exclusive form, one hit acquitted TKO, is not the most far-fetched shit. You see how you can explain this form? In case in point, I'll go a step even further. You see how this video is 6 minutes? You see how this Super Saiyan Rage Explained video is 6 minutes? And I watched this video. The Beast video is 20 minutes. Jose Goku Black Explained. We got 8 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. More people explaining it. This one has 20 minutes. At least people know how to explain the form. At least people know why it exists. Whether you like it or not, whether it's an Espel or not, at least you can have a deductive reasoning as to why the form exists. And that takes me to Beast. Gohan Beast, even in just movie, at least it explains time in and time out why this is even possible. It goes out of this way to say, hey, you! If everyone's at their best, Gohan would be the strongest person. Everyone at their prime, Gohan would be the strongest. It's literally, like, they explain it that way. Now, am I saying that I like the fact that he got a new form? I'm not saying that I even think it looks that good. His hair is tall as for no reason. At least with Beast, there's several things explained about it. With Trunks, it's just, he just has it. Someone typed in my chat, I guess I'm not saying it the right way, so this is a simpler way to type it. At least Beast has hella foreshadowing to it. Rage is out of nowhere. I'm gonna check the comment section one more time on this community tab. I do see someone else made a comment. So personally, I don't necessarily care for the form, but what I can say is every Saiyan has his or her evolutions. Trunks is a person who, unlike Gohan, is very rage-filled. While it is seemingly a form out of the blue, you have to consider Zenkai boosts and circumstances going on at the time. Time out. And this I'm not trying to disrespect you. I know you're here. This is what I'm talking about when I say that we're just making shit up now. I'm sorry. I hate to do it. I hate to be that guy. The form is called Super Saiyan Rage. Gohan is implied and or directly stated, I think directly stated, to have rage boost. He unlocks a form out of rage. So the idea that Trunks is somehow a person who canonically should get angrier rage boost than Gohan is crazy. Discord's pinned up. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna join one of the locked VCs. You guys join General. And any person that feels like they have anything to defend Rage, please join up now. I'm gonna leave this on the screen. What's good, man? Are you defending Rage? You dunking on it? What's going on, man?
Honestly, I'm with you on the fact, Rage is kind of dumb. The only thing I like about the form is deadass the aura, and that's about it. Like, it just looks like a Super Saiyan 2 without the aura, and maybe just like the whitened eyes. The only, and like my own headcanon for it is simply like, oh, he trained with the Kais, and he just got angry in Super Saiyan 2. That's my only explanation for it, but even that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah, so I'm glad you identify that that's kind of a stretch as well. I don't like, in regards to training with the Kais, that kind of makes the Supreme Kai the biggest dumbass of all time. What I mean by that is, if he were able to tap in and help Trunks train with God Ki, why wouldn't he do that with either Goku or Gohan? So the idea that he waited until Trunks, who was significantly weaker than either of the two at that point, is kind of like, huh? I don't like the idea that Trunks essentially unlocks some level of God Ki experience or training while training with the Kais, especially a Supreme Kai. Because even Vegeta for a long time, he doesn't tap into Godhood while he's training with Whis. He just gets a stronger base for a long time until he starts working on God Ki. So I don't know about that.
Hey, honestly, once again, this is all headcanon shit because one, like if you're saying that like oh, Trunks didn't get potential unleashed, so that's right there. And then two, at least the one thing that I can think of is the fact that like Goku and Gohan broke the Z sword. The Z sword was still intact when Trunks was training with it, and maybe he got some remnants of God Ki from that. I don't know.
man.
Like
You're
that's
trying,
that's the
bro.
only
I'm
that's
not
the
gonna
only that's
lie.
the only difference. That's
You
the
are
only difference
fighting the
I see.
fight, but you probably made the most why rage makes. I'll even credit you this. You probably made the most why rage makes sense argument I've heard in the past week. So basically, what we're hearing right now, chat, and I'm not belittling you when I say this, because you've admitted you're making a reach. You're literally trying to justify the form. So essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misquoting you, Trunks got a rage boost. Yes, wasn't equivalent to Gohan's, but he has a rage boost. It isn't potential unleashed. So when he had his rage boost, he didn't bypass a form like rage and he went straight to beast. Instead, he had a micro version of it, with combination of being weaker than potential unleashed as well as having the Super Saiyan 2 form. Instead, he unlocked Super Saiyan rage instead via training with the Kais as to why it's exclusive. And the reason that it works with the Kais is because the sword didn't break, but with Gohan it did. Again, I'd question a lot of these things. One, all we found out was that the Elder Kai was trapped in the sword. So the idea that there was some reminiscence of, hey, you're just gonna unlock God Key, that literally, I mean, I know we use headcanon a lot. That's literally made up at that point. Cause
That's made up, but the logic I'm using for that, the remnants of God Q with that is literally for Gohan to unlock potential unleashed. The Elder Kai just danced around the nigga for like hours.
yeah, the ritual.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know about that. And the only other another like I guess like positive you can say for it as to why Goku or Vegeta didn't get it is it's a hybrid thing. Let's just say like for argument's sake, if Gohan went through the same thing Trunks did in his timeline, he would get it too. At least that's the only way it makes sense.
So I'm gonna write this down just to illustrate what's going on. So, and correct me if I'm wrong. So it's a hybrid exclusive.
That or if we really want to reach, and this is like a Luffy level stretch, like it's some combination of what Broly got or some shit like that. I don't know. That's my like Hail Mary. Like
here's my thing. Broly and Kefla have similar looking forms about them. So that was really going to be my haymaker for when someone came through here and argued. Now, obviously, I don't have enough motion for that. Only 3 people are in Discord. Maybe people are afraid to argue it. Comment section, I know y'all are going to type away, but this is what I be talking about. And shout out my podcast. This is what my co-host Omar be talking about. It's very disappointing how everyone is like quick to type, but nobody just even wants to have the conversation. It is what it is, though. Ultimately, and now niggas tuning in. I'm going to say, ultimately, at the end of the day, when I look at Kale and Broly have very similar looking forms out of Rage, the idea that Trunks' form looks entirely different is crazy, especially given Kale, who is kind of like right there. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. So I'm just writing down all the points real quick. So I just want to get all the points down. And whoever has the best one, I don't know. Maybe I'll even make a cash prize at this point. So the 4 reasons as to why this would work is if it's a hybrid exclusive, it's less rage and power than Gohan. He got it from not breaking the Sea Sword, and it's unique to using Super Saiyan 2 versus untapped potential. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, in theory, that sounds good, but this is a lot. This is a lot of reaches and dance arounds, and if they were to come out and say this, I would not like it. I wouldn't like it. I'm gonna be honest. If this is so here's the question of the day, chat, and I promise you, I'm not trying to sway you. Any chat, floor is yours. If this were the reason as to why this form could work, and we're gonna do this with any person we bring into Discord, would you like the form? My answer is no, because I'm not gonna lie. Now we might as well just give like everyone a fucking form, which they're kind of doing, to be fair. But at least it's heavily implied that, if Goku just wanted ego, you can get ego. It's again explained. If Vegeta learned how to, get UI, he would have UI. Hell, Beerus is trying to get UI. So hell, all the gods are trying to get UI. So this is like doing your damnness to make it just a specific Trunks transformation while also not warranting why it would truly be just Trunks by also dancing around. Like number 2 is low-key, like people are going to talk about number 3 being the biggest outlier. The biggest problem is number 2. The idea that because he's using untapped potential and not Super Saiyan 2, that it unlocks an entirely different form. At that point, when Saiyans get mad in base form, even if they're weak, they just power back up to Super Saiyan. They have never got mad and then said, bam, new form. Nah, nah. For my manga niggas that bring up ego, from what I know, I haven't necessarily read the manga entirely, so I know that's going to be your gotcha. But from what I've seen in the from what I've been spoiled on in the manga, ego is very much a well thought out destruction energy. You hit me, I'm a you up ass form. It's not just
no, like,
I'm angry in base form. UI isn't just a I'm angry in base form. So a Saiyan getting a power up in either based or untapped potential form to bypass and create a new entity, I don't like it. You would then have to convince me that it's kind of a timeline exclusive thing. I think nobody would like that. I'm not gonna write that down because I knew you didn't say that. So I'm not a fan, man. But I see what you tried. I'm just not a fan. But what were you saying? I know I cut you off.
No. Because like it's just like we were talking about ego. Because like I've actually read the manga, and really, it's not really even big of a spoiler. Because all ego is, like, remember,
man. At this point, you can't hurt my feelings unless you tell me, "Oh my God, Goku died." Like, you can't really.
yeah. And plus, I'm not gonna lie. Like the arc where it dropped, that happened like a year ago, like years ago now. So I may be wrong with this, but it's just dead ass what Top had during the tournament of power. Like he had that like destruction form.
That makes sense.
That's essentially what it is.
That legitimately makes sense. So if that's what it is, and I'm going by his opinion, you're talking to a guy that hasn't read the manga. I'm avoiding that because either one, it needs to be a video, or two, as shit Super can be. Nigga, I'm a Dragon Ball fan. I want to see the anime. So ultimately, I've been trying to dodge that. If we ever read the manga and he seems to be right, comment section, please. I know you're typing away your gotchas for me. Please, just whatever gotcha you have, edit it. Yeah, he's right. It's basically Top's form. Or Blood is chatting. Because I don't know if this is law or not. Chat hasn't responded to that as well.
You might call this argument Mickey to start with. I don't necessarily care too much about the form. I was the chatter about the Gohan and Trunks rage thing. So
man.
I wanted to explain that more. My point was that Gohan naturally is a pacifist kind of person compared to Trunks. Even when Gohan was the main character, he was a very reactive kind of character compared to what Goku was in the series. And I was just trying to make the comparison between the two, but that wasn't even my main point. My main point is multiverse thing. It's the timeline thing. I think, as we know, there are different timelines within Dragon Ball. As we know, it's pretty much stated that there's an infinite amount of them. The video games, the other shows, the manga, they're not a part of one timeline. It's all different. So when things happen in a different timeline, it might not make sense for Goku and gang, but it would make sense for that timeline. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's basically my whole thing.
So you think essentially that this form is exclusive because it is a timeline difference. So because in this timeline, not even because of anything in this timeline, because it's not the same timeline, there's different forms in the timeline.
Yes, that's what I think. Because you can look at even like different movies. Because this is what I mean about that. Interesting. Akira Toriyama said himself, when he's watching the movies, he's treating them like their own timelines. Like in his own way, meaning that, oh shit, the other timelines are like basically different universes, all a part of Dragon Ball, quote unquote, right? So when you have these different forms, like the false Super Saiyan shit in the anime that isn't canon to the manga, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
First things first, man, I highly question the idea of the movie thing. The reason being, if everything is separate, I can't justify a lot of things that go on in the future because of movies, especially given that these movies are not only seen as far out there, but like completely not canon. Like these characters don't exist levels of like, in the future, at least everything is supposed to happen because it's a future. So it's a parallel universe, but it's like, eventually Frieza's going to pull up. Eventually Bobby is going to pull up. Eventually all these things are going to pull up, and whatever changes because, time travel, shit got to be different. But in terms of like exclusive villains and let alone forms, I don't see that vision because in the parallel to movie, I don't like that analogy that you got going there, but that's not even my necessarily main point. I question the idea that the timeline justifies different forms because Trunks not only trains in that same exact timeline and gets Super Saiyan, He then also unlocks Super Saiyan 2 in that timeline. He then, when he goes back to the original timeline, or the timeline that we know, he unlocks grade 2 and then grade 3. And then he's exposed to other forms in that original timeline. So him unlocking an exclusive new form, how would that go about, him unlocking an entirely new form because he's from a different timeline, despite heavily being influenced by a past timeline, and then even unlocking past timelines in the future timeline? And then again, I just want to remind you, this isn't like a different universe. The movies are seen as, again, different universes. In universe 7-2B type shit, this is just a different timeline. This is just further into the future that branched off on some different shit, just because obviously, you know, time travel shit. But yeah, I don't know how we're using. And I guess, I'm sorry, I'm going to steal from chat here because I struggled putting it together. I don't know how we're using non-canonical forms to justify canonical forms, especially when he's gaining these canonical forms that we're all used to, and then out of nowhere, he just gets something different. Yeah, if you could explain that, that'd be great.
These other timelines are explained as other universes. I mean, even in the Cell saga, how does Cell even come about to the main timeline? He realizes that Android 17 and 18 don't even exist in his timeline. So he kills the Trunks of his timeline and comes to this one, which is completely separate from the timeline that the original Trunks came from. Well, the Trunks that we know came from, right? He kills a completely different Trunks from an entirely separate timeline.
That's a separate timeline. That's not saying it's necessarily a separate universe. That's a separate timeline.
These timelines are universes because, even with things like GT, I know a lot of people don't like that show, whatever. It's explained that GT Goku at the start of the show has all of the memories of not only Z, but also the movies. In a weird way, it's kind of explained that all those timelines can be put together in its own separate timeline. These different timelines have different properties in the way that forms and certain things work within them. Not every timeline is going to have the same thing happen.
I think we're having a bigger conversation than what we're trying to have going on here, man. Be honest with you, my boy. There's a gigantic disconnect. Have you ever heard of multiverse theory?
That was my whole point.
You're essentially quoting multiverse theory. However, multiverse theory isn't hyper literally multiverse shit. What it is essentially explaining how the actions in one timeline may not affect one, and essentially when you go back in time, you start a new one. But even by that logic, when you're starting that new timeline, what my point is, he still was from a branch of the original timeline. So you would have to convince me that branching off and creating your own separate universe, even if what you're saying is law, even if I had to accept it, what you're saying is true, if starting your own timeline creates your own universe, because he isn't originally from a own universe, how that would justify him getting new shit. Again, he still unlocks Super Saiyan in this thing. Hell, he still goes on to unlock Super Saiyan 2. So again, I don't see how, if this were its own universe or whatever, why doesn't he just unlock Rage off rip? He saw Gohan die. He saw his dead body. He cried over his dead body, then went back, got mad again, then came back to the future, got mad again. You already argued that he's more of an angry person. So at that point, why wouldn't he have unlocked Rage? And this is my main thing. Even in this argument, if Rage is this omniversal exclusive, why wouldn't he unlock it earlier?
Obviously, partly because, even forms like the God Q forms didn't exist then. So obviously they wouldn't have thought of it. I would honestly say it's because he would have had to have gotten to that point to unlock those forms. Skipping Super Saiyan 1, 2 to go to Rage would make even less sense than getting Super Saiyan 1, 2 and then unlocking Rage.
Someone in my chat has a brilliant point. I was thinking if I wanted to essentially say it or not. What? And maybe I'm not arguing well enough for you if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, actually he's cooking. Maybe I'm not arguing this well enough. So what would you say about Goku Black in the gods who have a time ring.
It's actually shown. I can't like point to the exact scene, but it's actually shown that there's that room with a shit ton of those time rings. Those are all different timelines and different universes.
They're different timelines. That you show me where they call the time ring a different universe, or the time machine as leaving to a different universe. I actually would need those scans. I'm not going to lie. Because this is very much an affirmative that when you go back in the time, not only are you not creating a new one, you're actually going to an entirely different universe. You're not even arguing that they're branching off and starting a new lore and a new history, because at that point, you're still wrong, because Trunks would still go on to learn Super Saiyan and then Super Saiyan 2. So at this point, you're arguing, or you must be arguing, that anytime you go back in time, back or forth, you are creating an entirely new universe. At that point, you're going to have to tell me how a time ring or a time machine is doing that. If you could, what would be really convincing, instead of just a theory, because all of this is, again, an insane stretch in terms of the lore of the Dragon Ball series, you would have to show me anybody saying that, oh yeah, this is a different universe. Like, yeah, I made a different universe. I made this different universe when I used this time ring or something like that. Or even the time rings being described as universal, and maybe we could go from there.
One of the ways is in the show is when Beerus killed Zamasu. Obviously, you know, it didn't kill the other version of Zamasu. It killed the one in this timeline.
Yep.
And also the other one, you might call it Mickey, it's through Heroes.
Huh? Oh. All right, time out. I can't. Look, I'm gonna still be respectful. I let you walk with movies.
No, I get it. I understand. It doesn't like.
No. Let me be clear. Heroes is literally written for nothing more than fan service. So
I understand that. Yeah,
Heroes
I get that.
Heroes is like, it's not even Dragon Ball movies levels of canon and aren't canon. Heroes is literally, if I draw something and it goes viral, Heroes will make it. Heroes is an entire thing. I'm not gonna lie. I can't.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because it's still
Heroes thing, bro.
not necessarily. That's not true, because it's like all made by like Toei and Bandai too. So
yeah, it can be made by them, but what I'm saying is the product is different. It's not who makes the product. The product is different.
well, the product for the movies and the product for GT is not Toriyama either. But Toriyama sees it, like I said, like its own separate universe and its own timeline.
And what does he say about Dragon Ball Heroes?
I don't know if he necessarily commented on that, because when he commented on the stuff about the movies, it was like in the 90s. So
man, I'm sorry, bro. That's not true. I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy. If we agree, disagree, again, chat it up, comment it up. I know the glorified thing to do is, hey, this random guy, he cooked you. But just gotta be blunt, bro. No, Dragon Ball Heroes is literally described as a promotional anime. Again, there's real high odds if someone draws something and it's like Super Saiyan 4 Gohan, or a Saiyan with white hair, or a Saiyan with Ultra Instinct with the tail or some shit. It's very high that Heroes will do that. Hell, Golden Cooler exists in Heroes, my boy. Those things, it's literally described as a promotional fan service as anime. There's God Trunks in it. Shout out to Decky. There's God Trunks in Heroes. There is no, that's a complete, I'm sorry, dog. If this is like I'm not saying this is your haymaker because you talked about the movies, you talked about the current timeline, but if your whole point is that every version of Dragon Ball is a different multiverse or whatever, and when we go to Heroes, this just proves that things can be excluded. Heroes is literally not even in this realm. Heroes is, again, just a promotional thing.
Heroes includes this realm too, because of the time crystals.
Obviously, the characters are the same.
No, not even the characters. The time crystals.
Yes, obviously, certain aspects of Heroes is gonna call back on. It's an adaptation of the series, man. It's kind of like saying that all of the following are the same video. If I make a video talking about the Clippers, then I make a video talking about football, then I make a video talking about this. Yes, I'm still TSO Sage and all of these things, but to describe them as all the same genre of YouTube is ridiculous. And maybe that's not the best example for you.
Honestly, I think that's a false equivalency. I think the best comparison to make is other like comics and certain things like that. Each DC writer has, there's like 50 or 100 different writers, and they all are trying to write the same story, and they create different universes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing with Dragon Ball. If you know who Koyama is, he's the main writer for the movies. He created Broly, Janemba, all the villains, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously like the Toriyama for the movies, and he worked on a lot of the Z stuff. And like I was saying before, Toriyama does credit the movies its own separate timeline.
So your argument for why Heroes is even relevant in this conversation is that it justifies why timelines get exclusive forms, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. One hit or quit a TKO. If the reason for Super Saiyan Rage was timelines get different forms, I'd be pissed.
I'm not saying it's good writing. I'm just trying to explain it the best I can explain it. In later arcs, like, they just random power-ups. It's plot. It's described that literally, like, characters are getting, like, thousands of times stronger within the same arc, within the same fight. The tournament power was 45 minutes. To go from Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 to however they got to by the end of the arc is ridiculous. Kefla is, like, the biggest epitome of not good writing. But these things exist in the show.
I'm actually wrong too. Dragon Ball Heroes is for a game.
Oh yeah, no.
I am concerned that if the best way to explain a form that I'm supposed to support, get behind, or like has to be explained via Marvel, DC analogies, I'm not going to disrespect the take with that, and or just the idea that if you're in a different version of the timeline, you get different forms, even though sometimes you will unlock similar forms of the other universe. I'm sorry. You try this. If this is the justification for it, comment section. If you bought this, I know we use big words. I know we use theories. I know we use false equivalency. That's your favorite one. Yeah, gotcha, crowd. That's your favorite one. Go for it. This is your glorious king. He pulled up, his name was Damn. So Damn Cook Sage. Go for it. In my personal opinion, there's no way in hell I'd like this form. I actually would despise this form if it were like that, man.
Unfortunately, I do agree that this form is damn near awful. But the only thing I can really say that maybe makes a little bit of sense, going back to the first guy, is with the Supreme Kais. Because in the manga, Trunks is an apprentice to the Lord of Lords. So he did a whole ritual thing. So I know everyone says he does a bit of God key and stuff, but I say he has a pseudo God key. That's maybe the best I could give because he's an apprentice of the Lord of Lords.
I'm not dissing you because you admitted that you don't like the form. Swear to God, one hit or quit a TKO. If a motherfucker told me I have to like Super Saiyan Rage because Trunks has pseudo God key, oh hell no. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what I'm gonna do if this community sits here and accepts with a straight face pseudo God key. That is damn different, because that still don't explain how he can use the spirit bomb. But pseudo God key,
because in the manga he's an apprentice of the Lord of Lords. That's probably the only thing I could give that might make him have, because I don't think he can have full God key at all. So that's why I said some pseudo. That's why, because he's in the anime, he switches from on and off when using this form. Like, you see the aura sometimes, and then you don't see the aura some other times.
Yeah, apparently that's when he's really mad versus calming down or some shit. Time out. What I just said. Oh yeah. The reason the form changes is because he's not as angry as he was the punch he threw 5 seconds ago, but he gets angrier sometimes, and then sometimes he's not as angry. Are we serious? I've done what I could to hear you guys out, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of shit just happening. I can't buy into a form that videos like this, shout out to Geekdom, there's hella Super Saiyan Rage videos explained. Most of them are between 5 to 10 minutes, and they're all basically headcanons or what I think. Everyone at the end of the video says, this is what I could do with limited information, or I don't know. Because the form isn't explained, it just happens, and he's so fucking strong on top of that. I'm sorry, chat. I just don't see the vision. Take care and stay blessed. Hope you guys tune in next time. Hopefully you guys are still at the end of this video. If you like this video, definitely like it the fuck up. And remember, that didn't make a new fucking universe. I'm sorry, bro. I had to do it.